I wanted to create a place where women can come to be empowered by other women. Women helping women, with interviews of extraordinary and inspiring leaders, artists, celebrities, and change makers who have overcome great challenges to become incredibly successful and then give back to others so that they can love and believe in themselves, follow their bliss, and shine their light. In this way, we can truly be the change we wish to see in the world. Welcome to the Orgena Rose Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Orgena Rose Show. We are here with founder and CEO of Wealthy Women Warrior, Andrea Carter. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you, Orgena. It's great to be here today.
It's so good to have you. It really, really is. And this has been a powerful series already so far, talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and our addiction to our stories, and also about the diversions and distractions, and really all of the ways that we can self-sabotage, but we didn't recognize it as such. So today we're talking about men compartmentalize, women connect. I love this. This is really fun. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Sure. So again, from that psychology background, the wiring of a male brain versus the wiring of a female brain is very different, vastly different, in fact. And we always look to our, the men that we have in our lives, whether it is a boss or whether it is, a partner, or whether it's our brother or our father. For that matter, we always think, why do they not understand me?
Right. Why don't they get it?
Why don't they understand? That's right. And really, this is the beauty about men and women, is that men have this incredible gift. And the gift is that their brains actually compartmentalize what they're doing. And so men have different boxes, if you will. There's the sex box, and then there's the work box, there's the kid box, there's the sports box, and whatever hobby or interest that is. And what's really interesting is that in the boxes, none of the boxes touch. So, when they're going through something and they need to stop thinking or they need to unplug, from that male perspective, a lot of times they're actually able to put, the box away. So it's not that, they don't care. It's not that they don't, have the ability to really connect with women. It's that their brains are wired differently. Now, that doesn't mean that all men are wired in
right.
that, analogy, but I'm using that analogy as a very loose analogy so that we can understand there is a very big difference between our wiring. So for a woman, on the other hand, what happens is that everything is connected. So imagine a big ball of yarn that maybe got frayed, and there's wires or there's yarn kind of everywhere.
Threads in every direction.
Threads in all these different directions. And so women's brains are wired more along those lines. Which means that when they go into a situation where it feels the same, or it might look the same, or it might sound the same, we'll immediately connect all of those dots and expect the same outcome.
Okay.
So when it comes to looking at our careers, or when it comes to looking at our relationships, or when it comes to really driving our progress forward, what happens is that because women connect, to try and unplug and take out the emotion, because the emotion comes through in everything that we do, women aren't capable of doing that. And so what happens is that women will either connect it to a previous experience and they'll plow through, right? Almost like a bulldozer.
Yeah, because that's the habit, right?
That's the habit. And they're trying to unplug from that emotional feeling and from something bad happening again. So they're either going to plow through, or they're going to back into themselves and go, it's not worth it.
Right.
And it's not that it's not worth it, it's that they're going into the I'm not worth it. So what happens is that men and women, we typically have different ways of coping, of thriving, of dealing with what's happening in our lives. And, what has to happen then is, for a woman, we have to learn how to use the experience from a place of connection, not a place of disconnection. So for men, they can put the box away. I often joke that when I'm in the middle of creation or I'm in the middle of doing something new, I'd love to go to bed at night and swap heads with my husband, because
then you could put it away.
His head is silent, whereas mine
the yarn is spinning.
Right?
Absolutely.
So with women, we really do need to find ways that we can connect that information or connect that emotion and not have it drive us. So a lot of us see emotion as a bad thing, because we think, oh, well, I'm just going to be seen as that overly emotional person, or we shut it down. How many times, corporate, I see this all the time. It's like, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, med students, man, oh man, they can shut, because it's competitive.
Right.
But
they're trained that
they're
way,
trained,
and society
helps us, and it shapes it. And for men, they have the ability to go, okay, I'm going to compete with you, and we're going to be at war when we're on the sports field or when we're in the office, and I am going to knock you down and knock you down,
wipe you out.
And you know what? Afterwards, we're going to go for beer.
We're going to.
Women.
Okay.
In the office setting. That doesn't work.
No.
The minute somebody is competitive, what happens is that we go into, wait a second, what's either wrong with me, or I'm going to take her out.
And there's an intimidation factor.
There is. And then the competition aspect rises up, and the behavior changes. So we can no longer befriend that woman or that man. It doesn't matter what gender.
Because now they're kind of the enemy.
They're the enemy.
Wow.
And so women on the other side of that, and again, from the archetypal perspective, we need to understand what our triggers are. Because those triggers then create the response. And instead of it being about using competition, men can use competition in a very healthy way. It actually helps drive them and fuel them. Women have to understand how to go into connection and how to go into connecting from a place that's not negative, so associated with the negative emotion, but can be associated with a positive experience. Good.
This is so key, because I think, my goodness, that's very, very powerful. We all kind of had a sense, obviously, men, or even just masculine and feminine energy, right?
Absolutely.
Because in a person, they could just have more masculine energy, period. So we have a sense of those things, of that difference, but really getting that key piece about the compartmentalizing. I mean, really, that they are separate boxes, and it helps to explain so much about, I'm going to crush you on the field, but we're going to go for a beer, right? You're cool.
Yeah.
So that's so great to understand then how, for women, that's not necessarily the model, and then how we can find ways to still make that connection. So we'll get into that a little bit more right when we come back. So come back with Andrea Carter and find out how to make those connections. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to completely catapult your life and business fast? Want to step into the spotlight and finally be seen as the expert and star that you are? Ready to have more fun in your business and work smarter, not harder? Then you're in the right place. Step into the spotlight, shine your light, and be the star you are in the Celebrity VIP Day. If you're done being the best kept secret, want to reach more people, and ready to stop working so hard with little payoff, step up into your celebrity. In this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you'll get the star treatment. Have a TV talk show interview guaranteed. Be ready to rock the media and interview on national TV, radio, and magazines, and so much more. Your fabulous fun-filled day includes hair and makeup by a top Hollywood makeup artist to the stars, professional photos by a top Hollywood photographer, exclusive VIP lunch at a luxurious castle, a guaranteed interview with Orgena Rose, walk the red carpet, and enjoy a gala reception. As a bonus, you'll receive 4 power-packed live training calls to prepare you to truly shine in the spotlight and maximize your appearances. And a free ticket to the Soul Awards Gala in Hollywood, honoring extraordinary women who are shining their light by helping others. You're now a recognized celebrity and reaching more people than you ever have before. It's all possible with the Celebrity VIP Day. Only 12 spots available for this exclusive experience, so don't wait. Apply now.
Hello, and we are back with Andrea Carter, founder of Wealthy Women Warrior, speaking about the ways that men compartmentalize and women connect. So, Andrea, you've really outlined a beautiful understanding of the different ways that men and women, or masculine and feminine energy, really operates. How can we now make a shift for us, those of us as women, to make those connections?
Sure. So I think it's important that you brought up the fact as well that, it can also be masculine and feminine energy, because, I remember as a child growing up, and I was definitely that tomboy. I was great at sports and I was very, I wanted to be one of the boys. And so I think it's important for women to understand the messaging behind that as well, is that this is how our brains typically work, but that doesn't mean that we're boxed into something.
Right.
Okay, so one of the archetypes, Urabi, for instance, she's more of a masculine nature, and that's not a bad thing. It just means that she's very structured. She has a specific way of doing things. She is the goddess of grand strength, and she's brilliant at being able to really compartmentalize in a way what she's doing. So lots of my medical doctors that I work with, lawyers, and that's why I mentioned that, CEOs,
Yes.
very much. The Urabi archetype is one of the archetypes that comes in quite frequently. And so part of it is also learning how to use that, again, in a proactive manner. And, someone like Kalia, for example, she's the goddess of manifestation. She's so feminine. Same with Freya. Freya's very feminine. That these 2 archetypes, or 3 archetypes, they're going to operate in very different ways. And so one of the first steps that we always look at is looking at, okay, so what is the conflict? What is the obstacle? What is the aspect that we are not connecting with, that is contributing or lending to the problem instead of the solution?
And what would you say, really specifically, how does this show up as a problem for women? This not getting that weird, we connect versus compartmentalize.
Sure.
On the whole.
Well, I think what happens is that we lead into then putting on that cloak or the armor. I actually call it armoring. And so if I'm Urabi and I've had this experience, that armor is just going to go on in full force, and I'm going to blaze through, and I'm just going to, again, that's the forcing energy. And what ends up happening is that on the other side of that, she may not actually get what it is that she wants.
Really wanted.
What she really wanted.
Exactly, yeah.
And so this would be that personality type that was coming into my clinic before, who was struggling with fertility but could not get pregnant because she was so used to, as Urabi, pushing through and making things happen. And so at some level, you can no longer push through.
Right. You're going to hit a wall.
You're going to hit a wall.
At the end of,
It's the same thing with women who are very powerful at their work and being able to be in a relationship with someone and actually feel that connection. What's interesting about Urabi is that Urabi, even though she's masculine in nature, she loves the idea of love. Loves the idea of love.
Yeah.
And so, but relationships are a struggle for her.
Right. Good. So how does your work then help save perhaps a Urabi, or in this instance?
So what we would look at then is we would look at the aspects where we can actually celebrate the situation. It's about looking for the areas that we can be grateful for. So knowing your gifts, really understanding, as you know, the archetypes will give you a bit of what we can celebrate and what's fabulous about yourself, but understanding what is brilliant about yourself and then being able to be grateful for that attribute really changes the energy of what's happening in any situation. So it means being able to go into a conflict or a perceived expectation of how it's going to all roll out, and then look at it and go, okay, well, here, what is it that I'm good at? Okay, I'm great at this. So what can I be grateful for? This situation presented itself. How can I look at this from a proactive approach?
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's very, and many of us, again, are so familiar and connected with the idea of gratitude as a wonderful practice. But what I love is that you're talking about really using that specifically for a particular personality type as a tool to move through conflict, to move through difficult situations.
Absolutely.
That's really, really powerful. That's really fabulous. And like you said before, each archetype has their own different way of operating. So it might be something different for another archetype.
Absolutely. And each archetype will have different attributes and strengths and challenges. And so it may be identifying the blind spot, but it may also be identifying, I like to start with the gifts. I like to start with the positives, because looking at the positives, we can always go into connection mode. It means that instead of looking from a place of lack, we can go, okay, so where is it that I'm really strong here? And for Yurabi, it may be, okay, I'm really perceived as very, very powerful. And so maybe I'm coming across as the bully. Nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to feel that. However, when we can acknowledge it, we can also go, that is a strength, and it's gotten me to where I am. So where is it okay for me to give a little? Where is it okay for me to allow more? And be grateful for it, but look at the situation and also see how that can come in and shift conflict.
Love that. I really, really love that, because it just, again, helps each person to have a tool for self-reflection, for self-understanding. You know, because I remember years ago, I remember being told that when I was very young, like in teens, that, you know, I was coming across like really, really strong, and people were, you know, and I'm thinking I'm just love. I'm just like, oh, I just want to love everybody, and I'm thinking that's what's coming across because that's what's going on inside for me. But outside, something else completely was going, you know, was being communicated. So learning that, then I can go, aha, I can make adjustments, or I can, you know, be more conscious of that as I'm going throughout. So this is a really, really wonderful tool, again, as we can tap into those archetypes. So once you find out your particular archetype, and that's great, you have a wonderful way to help people to do that. So absolutely getting that archetype test, right? And finding out your archetype, you can truly tap in and get the tools that you need. Beautiful and brilliant. Really, really wonderful, wonderful work, Andrea. We are so, so thankful that you're here with us and that you're sharing this beautiful, beautiful tip. And we will come back in our next segment and hear more from Andrea as she talks about beauty, brawn, and brains. So stay tuned and come back and find out what that's all about with Andrea Carter, founder of Wealthy Women Warrior. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today on our show. I really hope that there was something shared that really helps you shine your biggest and brightest light. Please stop by again, like us on Facebook, tweet us, all of those good things. And most importantly, please always remember, it's all about love.